Andriel, I'm glad you are here. I hoped I would have the opportunity to speak with you privately before you left for the Ettenmoors. I wish to tell you how proud I am of what you accomplished at Fornost. You have brought great honor to our household. Indeed, all of Imladris is singing your praises. But I do not believe you have come merely to hear my thanks. Do you have questions for me?
I discovered this scroll at Fornost. It is tainted with evil, yet I thought it best you should see it.
A wise decision. This is writ in the black speech of Mordor, a language I will not utter here. It is intended to instruct the reader in the use of dark sorceries.
What can you tell me of the black speech?
A language devised by Sauron when he desired a single tongue to be spoken by all who serve him. He had small luck introducing it to the scattered tribes of orcs and trolls, but it is still used by his highest-ranking servants.
We encountered orcs at Fornost who used spells against us.
Then it seems this has already been put to use. That is grim news. The Dark Lord is a master of necromancy and other foul sorceries. He has taught these abominations to men in the past, but never, to my knowledge, to orcs.
Dare I ask you to explain more about the dark art of necromancy?
Necromancy is the darkest form of sorcery. It deals with raising the dead.
Sauron has such powers at his command?
He does indeed. It was for this reason he was known as the Necromancer when he still dwelt in the fortress of Dol Guldur in Mirkwood. At that time we did not know this was Sauron returned, but we knew there was a great evil there. Have you not experienced this power firsthand in your journey through the Borrowdowns? It was Sauron's chief servant, the Witch King, who summoned the Borrow Wights to infest those tombs.
But why would the dead men of the Borrowdowns serve the enemy? Many of them were our allies in ages past.
These shades are not truly the dead returned to life. Not even Sauron has that power. It is accomplished through the summoning of malignant spirits to inhabit the remains of the dead. It is a mockery of life, and the foulest form of desecration.
Then it is good we captured this from the enemy before it could cause further harm. What will become of it?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfrun and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Who is this Wulfrun the scroll speaks of?
I know not, but whoever he may be, he is certain to be deep in the sway of the Dark Lord, and very likely a powerful sorcerer in his own right. We must be watchful for any sign of his presence in the days ahead.
As repellent as these powers may be, could we not gain some advantage by making use of them ourselves?
Consider carefully what you are saying, Andriel. Have I not taught you why such a course would be the path of folly? This, like all works of the enemy, is altogether evil. Any who make use of this, even from a desire to do good, will only be corrupted by it. Surely the ring has taught us that much.
Yes, forgive me, Master Elrond. I see the truth of your words. But what are we to do with this?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfrun and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Seven at one time, perhaps, but Agandar may well have created many more such scrolls since this writing.
Perhaps, but creating something of this nature is not a matter of simple scribing. Considerable preparation and effort is involved. We have reason to hope there are no more than 7.
So 6 more remain. Perhaps we might capture them as well.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
I will be certain to do so.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
There is something else. I discovered this tome hidden amid the ruins of Fornost.
Ah, now this is writing of an altogether more wholesome sort. This was not made by any minion of Sauron, but rather by the men of Arthedain, likely before the fall of Fornost.
It is many a long year since Fornost fell into ruin.
It is more than 1,000 years since the Witch King of Angmar conquered Fornost and brought about the end of the Dunedain kingdom of Arthedain. What a grim day it was.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
Arthedain was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
Arthedain fell, but the line of kings was not extinguished.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken, but without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
Perhaps this tome is a record of those days long past. It appears to use the Elvish characters as was common with those folk, but I can make little of it at a quick glance. Perhaps you can discover more.
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M-A-L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Was he not a visionary of some sort?
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble. You did well in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
I am pleased to have been of service. Thank you and farewell. The shards of Narsil, sword of Elendil. Soon it shall be remade, and Aragorn will bear it to war.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me away from Imladris, but my thoughts are often with those who dwell here.
I would like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
What of Mithrandir, of Gandalf? The two of you are great friends. Can you tell me something of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery. even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
One elf at least goes with you on your quest. Tell me about Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar along with us. Your people have been foes of Sauron since before my ancestors returned to the shores of Middle-earth. The Elves of Mirkwood are constantly called upon to protect their realm from the many enemies that infest that wood. They are skilled warriors and unmatched archers.
What of this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
What can you tell me of the dwarf, Gimli?
I have spent little time among dwarves, but Gimli is one of Durin's folk, and the dwarves of that line are trusted by Elrond, in spite of the differences that sometimes divide elves and dwarves. If Gimli is like most of his kin, he will prove loyal and stout-hearted, enduring in hardship and fierce in battle.
What of these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin, in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
You go now to claim your rightful place as the King of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
I gather you had never heard of Agandaur until these recent events.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agandaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agandaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god, and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
You have traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Etenwalls?
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Arador was slain by trolls in the Etenmoors. It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard at all times while you venture there.
Good luck to you.
Greetings, my friend. What can I help you with?
Is there anything more you can tell me about this mission to the Etenwalls?
Only that the Etenmoors are a dangerous place at the best of times. The danger will be that much greater if the orcs and trolls are being organized by an outside force. You and your friends will need to have your wits about you.
And if we should indeed find the enemy gathering in force, what are we to do then?
You will have to determine your best course of action. But when dealing with the foul folk, it is always wise to eliminate any strong leader you may find. For without someone who can enforce discipline, they will often fall to fighting amongst themselves. If the enemy is mustering in the Etenmoors, try to recover any clues that may help us determine who is behind it and where they may be found.
Who could raise such a muster?
Agandaur would be my first guess, but it could also be a strong orc chieftain, or perhaps an unusually cunning troll. At worst, one or more of the Nazgul may have made their way there, if any of their mounts survived the flood we unleashed upon them.
Whatever may be happening there, you will know of it. Farewell, Master Elrond.
Andriel, I thought I might see you ere long. Imladris is filled with tales of your exploits. I believe Lindir has even begun a song about them. But while battles can build a heroic reputation, they also break down equipment. You have need of my services.
What task is before you now, Angmir?
My fellow smiths and I are preparing for a great work. Soon we will be called upon to reforge the legendary sword Narsil. In the meantime, I've been sharpening my skills by practicing the art of imbuing gemstones.
What can you tell me of this sword, Narsil?
Narsil was the sword of Elendil, a mighty lord of the Dunedain who defied the Dark Lord in the War of the Lost Alliance. He bore the sword in battle against Sauron, but he was slain and the sword was broken. Since that time, the shards of the sword have been an heirloom of the House of Elendil. It was to remain broken until the day when an heir of Elendil would go to war to reclaim the crown and title of king. That day will come soon, and the sword must be made whole once again.
By imbuing, you mean the process of binding powers and virtues to an object?
Yes, clearly you have a good understanding of this art. As you know, gemstones are very strong vessels for this process. Sadly, appropriate gemstones have become difficult to find. The growing trouble throughout the land keeps travelers away, and our own people are staying closer to home.
Perhaps I can help you with that. I will be traveling soon.
I would be pleased to have your help. I will provide you with a list of the types of gemstones that are of the greatest value to me. If you collect the stones, I am certain I could create something that you would find useful. But to be of use, the gemstones must be of the highest quality. Fortunately, we have as a guest a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Glóin is his name, and he is skilled in the appraisal of gems of all sorts. Once you have gathered the stones, allow him to examine them. He'll know if they are suitable.
I have discovered some interesting relics of the Dunedain, Angmir. Perhaps you can help me with them.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Númenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
It seems fitting that an elven smith should do this task for me.
Very good. I will get started at once. There, it is finished. May this serve you well, my friend.
A worthy work indeed. You have my thanks, Angmir. Here is something I have not seen in many a long year. And elf in Imladris I do not know. Welcome, friend. I am Andriel.
Greetings, lady. I am Legolas, son of King Thranduil of the Woodland Realm in Mirkwood.
Tell me about Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty, but now it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum escape your guard?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
What is this place, Dol Guldur?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
Will you be departing for your home soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
I wonder why it is that with so many elves in his own household to consider, Elrond chose to make you a member of the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
I am curious why you would volunteer for this.
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
May Elbereth guide you in the days ahead, Legolas.
And you as well, Andriel.
How can I assist you? The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? The valor you showed there brings honor to all our folk. I'm only sorry you will have so little time here at home before setting out once more.
How was it you happened to be at Fornost?
You know how bitter is our hatred for the orcs since our mother's ordeal. We often ride far afield, hunting them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
How fares your sister, the Lady Arwen?
She is well, although weighed down with care. It is hard for her to be so soon parted from Aragorn, her beloved, but such is their fate.
I trust I can speak to the usual stewards concerning preparations for my journey.
Ilari will help you with any goods and provisions you may require, while Angmir will gladly tend to your arms and armor. Both of them may be found nearby.
How fares your sister?
She is well. It is hard for her to be so soon parted from
Farewell, friends. May good fortune accompany you. Nothing calls to my heart like this, my home. Unless, perhaps, the sea.
Hello, you are Andriel, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
And you are Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me about you. And your burden.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Clearly it was not an easy one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You passed through the Burrow Downs? I know what you faced there. You are fortunate indeed to have escaped. That is no place to wander.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What befell you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
I am familiar with the ruin known as Weathertop. What happened there?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
There is more to the Shire folk than many know. I do not believe you will fail us. Go with the goodwill of all who remain behind.
Hello again. This stay in Rivendell has done wonders for me.
Will you tell me about...
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Rock...
I am familiar...
We were attacked. The knife that was used... Fortunately.
There is... It is long since so many dwarves have graced the halls of Imladris. Who might you be?
Gimli, son of Glóin, at your service. I've heard your name spoken with great praise. That was fine work you did at Fornost. Not bad at all for one of Thranduil's folk, who are more accustomed to stealth in the forest than open battle. But after all, you had the help of my kinsman Farin. I heard he played a valiant part.
And so he did. But your wits fail you, Gimli, son of Glóin, if you cannot tell a wood elf from a member of Elrond's house.
Ah, well, no offense meant, but there are Mirkwood elves about in the halls, and they are the kind most familiar to me, being our neighbors and allies. Any elf of Elrond's house is a friend of mine and my kin. I am honored to be a guest here amongst the wise.
Farin spoke no word of more kin following him. What brings you such a distance to Imladris?
Aye, it's a long march from the halls of Erebor, but grim news goes on swift feet. It was for Bilbo's sake we came, with a warning that the servants of Sauron wished to find him and his ring. Thrice a Black Rider came to the front gate of Erebor, demanding news of Bilbo, and threatens to return once more. Ere that should happen, King Dain sent my father, Glóin, to seek the advice of Elrond. You've heard the results of the council? I see you have. I have sworn to protect Frodo upon his quest, an oath I will fulfill though all the orcs of Middle-earth stand in my way.
When you speak of a Black Rider, my mind is filled with the horror of the Nazgul. Was it such a fell messenger that came to your door?
Not one of the Nazgul, I think, but it was a fell servant all the same, who spoke in a voice like the hissing of snakes. What sort of man can serve the enemy willingly, even gladly, is beyond my understanding. More cruel than any orc he struck me, full of venom and lies.
You could well be describing Agandar, for he is such a servant.
Could it be so? Perhaps. It is enough that we will not be deceived by promises from Mordor ever again. The only way the Dark Lord gets his ring back this time is when it's tossed into the fires of Mount Doom.
I have heard much about Erebor from Bilbo. Were you there at the downfall of Smaug?
Sadly, no. I was far to the west in the Blue Mountains where I was born, for my father deemed me too young to join him on Thorin's quest. But once the dragon was destroyed, I hurried with many of my kin to settle there. I've labored some 70 years to restore what was lost and helped build anew the city of Dale from the ruins of the Dragonfire. I've seen the bones of Smaug upon the lake bottom where he fell. Did you know that Bilbo exchanged riddles with the dragon? Now that's a tale he should tell you. We owe much to that fine old hobbit.
What do you know of Frodo?
I know only that he is Bilbo's adopted heir, and that he is chosen of his own free will to bear and destroy the ring. That's all I need to know. I'll protect him to my final breath if need be.
Elrond has tasked us with a mission to scout the Etenmoors. But what is it that worries you about the North?
I like not what I've heard of this Agandar you drove from Fornost. He could yet cause grief untold. There are rumors of gatherings of orcs, goblins, and other deadly foes growing in strength. When the Dark Lord strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell. It would ease my heart to know that you'll look to the defense of the North for as long as you're needed. With help from Farin, of course.
Whatever Eradan and I, and the most esteemed Farin can do, we shall do. You have my promise.
Well met again. I wish the scouts would hurry about their business. If we wait much longer, we'll have the snows of winter.
I must attend to my...
Farewell, and may you kill many orcs. Keep a count, and we'll compare numbers when I return.
Andriel, welcome home. It is good to have you back. I have already heard tales of your exploits. All of Imladris is proud of what you have done. Oh, but I forget my duties as steward. You have been through many bitter battles. Are you in need of new arms or equipment?
It is good to be home once again, Ilari. How fares Imladris in my absence?
Less serene than usual, I fear. The servants of the enemy came almost to our very doors in pursuit of the hobbit Frodo Baggins, but he was saved by the valor of Aragorn and the arts of the Lord Elrond. But you know more of this than I.
And Frodo? He came through all this peril in safety?
He was gravely injured by one of the evil weapons of the enemy. It was thought that he would not survive, but Elrond's skill as a healer is unsurpassed. He saved his life, much to the relief of Bilbo.
So Frodo is dear to Bilbo?
Oh yes, he is his nephew and heir. Bilbo hardly left his side during the long days that Elrond tended him.
Were the Nazgul that pursued Frodo destroyed?
I do not know, but my heart tells me they were not. Elrond will be sending out many scouts to learn what they may of the fate of the Nazgul and the movements of the enemy. I have been told to prepare supplies for them.
Well met, friend. It's an honor to make the acquaintance of one of Farin's valiant companions. I'm Glóin, son of Groin, from the Lonely Mountain.
And one of Bilbo's companions in the quest to slay the dragon, Smaug. I remember seeing you when Thorin Oakenshield's company stayed with us here in Rivendell. I am Andriel, a lawmaster of Elrond's house.
I heard about that business at Sarn Ford, and they say the three of you brought down an orc chieftain at Fornost. I expect I'll be hearing of even greater deeds before long. It does my heart good to see a dwarf, an elf, and a man working together again. Reminds me of the old days, it does, when the three kindred fought alongside one another in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Then you approve of my alliance with Farin?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
I have heard when a dwarf bears a grudge, it is set in stone. But I believe this grudge against the wood elves should have been put aside long ago.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandaur may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
We must not forget the Great Eagles. They have been a great help to us, just as they were to you and your companions.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
Sauron's attention will be focused largely on the south. If we thwart his plans here, he will be distracted. That could prove a benefit to the Ringbearer.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Hello there, Andriel. It's good to see you back safe and sound. I've heard all about what you and your friends did to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. Oh, you'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it all down properly.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely. He is your heir, yet he is not your son?
Oh no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? You speak of Aragorn?
Yes, indeed. I have called him that since the day he first told me about his heritage. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to be in possession of the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it That is to say, I took it from the creature golem. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
So, you have been keeping up with your writing. What is it you are working on now?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish. Although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Is that so? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. To do all sorts of good things?
Ah, yes. Well, poetry's not for everyone, is it? Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply, after all.
Arwen? Do you really think this is something we should trouble the daughter of Elrond with?
Oh, you are too formal, my friend. Why, I'll have you know that the Lady Arwen has frequently helped me with my poetry, and she is one of the best sources of elven history. Her rendition of the tale of Beren and Luthien is especially moving.
I will take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
Happily. Farewell for now, Bilbo.
Andriel, my Govanen, it is good to see you safely returned. I am told you passed through many dangers to bring us warning of a new threat facing these lands. Estelle speaks highly of you, and my brothers praised the courage you showed at Vornost. I thank you for the part you played in their safe return as well. Rest now a while in the peace of Imladris. It is long since we sat and spoke of herb lore and other gentle arts.
It is a matter of the gentle arts that I bring to you. I have been speaking with Bilbo.
Say no more. I thought our people had a passion for poetry, but this hobbit may yet put us to shame.
Bilbo seems most unusual for a hobbit.
Perhaps we know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. Though I have only just met Frodo, I see the same qualities in him. Bilbo resisted the evil of the ring longer than many we would have called strong. It sustained him, so that now he is very old amongst his kind, but it did not stain him. And it has not lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo. I do believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
I have a poem of his here. He asks for your opinion and advice, for he says the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then I would guess it is another poem in honor of Estelle. Leave it with me, Andriel. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Bilbo will be pleased, I am sure. I would that I had more time for such arts, but Elrond is in need of my skills, and I fear I must leave for the Ettenmoors as soon as may be.
Then I will not keep you, but perhaps we may be of service to one another. Your journey may solve a problem that has perplexed me. I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Ettenmoors. I will set aside a flask for your own use when we have brewed it.
If I may be so bold, why is it that you prefer to use Estelle instead of Aragorn? His true name has long been known to you.
It is true that when first we met, he gave me his Dunedain name and lineage. Yet for the first 20 years of his life, he was known as Estelle, for he is the hope of his people. And hope, Estelle, he remains to me. In this war, Aragorn's fate is entwined with mine, to share his life and accept the doom of men. If our hope fails, the shadow will fall across Middle-earth and leave only ruin. Always he is in my thoughts. Even from afar, I watch over him and keep hope alive in my heart.
I have not heard how you met, if you would speak of it.
I had been living with my mother's kin in Lothlorien for many years, and had only recently returned to Imladris to visit my father. Estelle saw me at twilight as I walked in a grove of birch. Even then, in his youth, he struck me as more than other mortal men. 29 years passed, and I dwelt once again in Lothlorien when he came there, returning from perils on the very borders of Mordor. He had undergone many trials and hardships, yet he seemed as fair as an elf lord when I beheld him walking beneath the golden boughs of the malorn trees. We pledged our troth there, upon the hill of Cairn Amroth, where I said to him, "Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices, for you, Estelle, shall be among the great whose valor will destroy it."
Then it is as I heard. You have made the choice of the half-elven, choosing to become mortal because of your love for Aragorn.
That is the gift given to my father's line, to remain of elvenkind and live forever in the undying lands beyond the Great Sea, or to accept a mortal life, both the sweet and the bitter.
You are guided by your heart, so you have made the correct choice, however painful it may prove for yourself, and for the others who love you.
In many ways, it does seem a choice between two separate sorrows. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will depart. When he leaves, we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle and the race of men.
I believe you said something about Miraval.
I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Ettenmoors. I will set aside a
You are generous, lady. I will seek them out for you and return with them once my mission is completed.
Let me see what you have found. Yes, this is indeed Athelas. Now, according to the old law, all I need to do is add these leaves to boiling water. Let Eradan breathe in these fumes.
Solana. And our elven friend as well. How can this be? I thought you were all slain. But no. That was only the dark voices in my dreams. Yet, it was not all a dream, was it?
No, the battle was real enough. We were overmatched, yet you fought bravely.
I tried to do my part, but I'm afraid I was not much use. I remember being scared mostly, and then the darkness fell. I thought it was the end of all things.
Thankfully, Solana had the skill to call you back from the darkness.
Mine was the knowledge, but it was this brave elf who found the herb that saved you, at great personal risk.
Then I owe you my life, friend. Please, let me show my appreciation. My weapons were made in Lost Numenor in the distant past. They've been in my family for generations. I want you and your friends to have them now.
What do you know of Numenor?
Numenor was the land of my ancestors, a great civilization, but it sank beneath the sea thousands of years ago. Only a handful of survivors, led by Elendil, escaped here to Middle-earth.
And who was this Elendil?
A mighty lord of Numenor. It was he who founded the realms of Arnor and Gondor long ago. Our chieftain Aragorn is his heir.
Hush, boy. You forget that we Dunedain still keep our secrets.
Yes, I'm sorry, I grew careless. Forget I spoke. But come, my friend. Will you accept my gifts?
A noble gift, thank you. Rest now and recover your strength. Farewell to you both.
So tired. Must rest.
Welcome back to Sarn Ford, Andriel. It is good to see you again. Even stuck here as we are, we've heard reports of your deeds. You three are earning quite a name for yourselves. I'd find some of those stories hard to believe, save I've seen your prowess firsthand. I'll never forget what you did for me in the Borrowdowns. If I were free to choose my own road, I'd be begging leave to join you on your quest.
Do not envy us overmuch. Our lives have been constantly in the balance since the day the Nazgul first appeared.
I'm certain of that, if even half of what I've heard is true. But my duty keeps me here anyway, and a ranger always does his duty.
Do you ever begrudge that duty?
What? Watching out for folk who fear me? Or at best think of me as a rascal and a vagabond? Strangely, I do not. Knowing I help make it possible for folk to live their lives without fear, well, that helps me sleep easy at night. At least.
Then I will leave you to your duty. Farewell, Lewin.